this meeting to order. Here we go. Roll call, it appears that everybody is here. So thank you all. Do we have any approval or additions to the agenda? Hearing none, I would...
Move we adopt the agenda as presented.
Second.
Thank you, Bert. Moved, Bert seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
I move approval of the consent agenda as presented.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Oh, all right. Well, that was good. Alrighty, next on the agenda is our public participation. And
We-
first,
Madam Chair, technically we have to open the public hearing on the budget at this point.
oh, sorry about that. All right, can we open the hearing on the 2022-23 budget?
We didn't ask if anyone was here to speak to it.
Is anybody here to speak to the 2022-23 budget? Hearing nobody? All right, thank you. I should be
Sorry.
this by now, right? All
I'd
right,
like to ask a question about it. Has it been posted and where can I find it? If it has,
has it
Assume
been
it's on the
posted?
website.
Has it been posted, and where can he find it?
It should be on the post if you,
CPRDNewburgh.org.
got it?
Yeah.
Okay.
About,
That's all I need
if
to
you
know.
look, about us, there's a section that says board and budget.
Oh, that's where it should be. All right, then next,
And we will formally approve it next meeting, if you have any.
Yeah,
So
so
you have another chance next month to come in.
So you'll approve it
give
next week and I
input or-
come in and complain next month?
yeah,
Or if you have comments, you might forward them to the superintendent before the.
before the meeting, and that would be helpful. All right, public participation. First on our list, we have homeowners greens. All right,
Yep,
can you please state
we were
your-
joking around, Don. We were serious about moving right along.
How many,
City council, will we do public participation, top of the agenda, not the bottom?
Top of the agenda. So yeah, so this.
before you start, how many of you are here for that same?
Okay,
Okay,
all
thank
right,
you.
and can you state your name, please?
Yeah, can I introduce my
Absolutely.
neighbors? So my name is Steve Paulson.
Thanks.
Live in the Greens. Been up there coming up on 7 years. Transplant to Newburgh from Newport, from the coast via Oregon State, and here I've settled down here with my family.
Nice.
I'm Tom Sheridan. Been a 19-year Newburgh resident, 16 years in the Greens at Spring Brook.
Nice.
Matt LaRoche, live in the Greens, I've been there for 6 years, and we've been in Newburgh for 20 years.
Ron Rogers, live at the Greens with voters.
All righty, how can we help you?
Yeah, so I'll just give you a thesis of what brings us here. I've always been in sales. Just for the sake of time, what's our 5 minutes, 10 minutes, whatever?
There's 5 minutes.
5 minutes? Okay, that's good to know. So, did y'all get the drafted letter,
Yes.
the email? So Ron Rogers authored that, and I've been asked for several years to see if I could get involved in our community and take more of a leadership approach in different opportunities, including the most recent one I've been asked for the last several years is to improve our facilities at the golf course at Chehalem Glen. Specifically, looking at number one, the maintenance side of things, so that's the conditions of the course and just the bare minimum. And this is not just a voice of concern for people that live there from a homeowner's perspective, but it's also a voice of concern and opportunity for everyone that comes to Newburgh to visit that facility, because it draws a lot of people in, golf enthusiasts and other people. So number one of the thing is our goals are the maintenance of the facility, and we really want to know, this initial introduction is, we want to know if it's possible to improve our facilities, to get them up to standards that they should be at for playing golf and for enjoying the golf course for what you have to pay to play there. Meaning, for non-golfers, it would be the course conditions, weeds in the bunkers, long fairways, just overall conditions that are lacking for what you have to pay there. And then so is it possible? The second item would be looking at what we want to do and what our vision is long-term. And this is, we're talking whether it has to be private funding, fundraising, a group taking a lead to improve overall, and that being a permanent clubhouse as opposed to a triple wide portable unit. I've been asked about that for years because I am well connected to resources, and I believe in my heart that if I actually put my mind to it, that I actually could lead a group to probably fundraise and help fund a permanent facility.
So
That-
moved.
So he's all for you right now.
And that being a, I just don't know Don's sarcasm and I see him out there for it. So, yeah, so a permanent clubhouse, permanent structure with a bar, club, and a restaurant and a clubhouse, and then, again, long-term vision being us, the group, the committee, starting, who would operate that? Meaning, like Don, I talked to him a couple years ago about McMenamins and some of these other, we're talking about a company that would own, would be a part of it, would be a partner, and they would operate that way. That's long-term. And then a permanent outdoor facility, so you think my example, my dream is to look at Argyle in Dundee. You're driving south, it's on the left-hand side. A permanent outdoor structure that can host wine tastings for non-golfers and weddings for non-golfers and graduation ceremonies and all these things that would draw people to the course, an outdoor permanent structure as opposed to a tent. And then, just on a wish list would be, again, this is long-term, but I know it could get done if we put our minds to it, would be a legitimate driving range off the grass, maintaining that, nets on all sides of the range so we're not losing balls, proper equipment and so on. So it's a lot of things, but really our initial thing here is we want to improve the maintenance. We've talked to the neighborhood about, we could adopt a bunker. We could let people adopt a highway, and we could have cleaning parties. And we could go out and weed 2 people per, men and women per hole. And we go and meet, and we go and clean them. And things like that. But anyway, the long-term goal is, the short-term goal is to get the maintenance right and get it up to standards.
So Steve, could I
Yes.
interject here?
Please.
Kind of the flavor of what I had written was more of, we're all golfers, but we're really coming at it from the homeowner's point of view. I'm on the 7th green, and my yard is just full of weeds. I cannot get rid of them, crabgrass. This year's the worst, and it comes from the golf course. It comes from the rough between the cart path and my yard. And there's, I just don't understand why we can't weed and feed that, keep the weeds off it. Now, Tom, he lives on 8, and he's been, go ahead and tell him what you've been doing to keep the weeds out of your backyard.
Yeah, I've gone out behind mine and my 2 neighbors to, eradicate the clover, the crabgrass, and the weeds, just so we don't get the spread. It still comes because it blows the wind. But, I take my time to go out and do that stuff. I mow it every week.
You're talking about the fairway, or the rough between the.
The rough between the cart path and my property line.
Right.
So
So you're mowing it, you're weeding, feeding it.
Weeding, feeding
Right.
it, and I aerate it, I fertilize it, I water it, only because it's not being watered by the golf course. There's heads there that could water it, but they're not being used. The one that's just to the south or north of me actually is almost, or pretty much in my neighbor's backyard. And when it comes on, once a week for 2 minutes, does one rotator and comes in my backyard and sprays my back patio. So over the last couple of years, I've said, hey, can you guys, adjust this, get it right, whatever. I've been told, yeah, yep, I'll get to it. Actually saw a guy out there last year working on it and, didn't end up fixing it. So,
So before we get kicked out, well, he said we could sit and actually watch the whole thing as public, but before we get cut off for time, the bottom line, just to summarize it up, is I'm about solutions, not about complaints. So when my kid comes to us and complains about something, say, bring us a solution. for example. My wife Dawn, Steve, bring me a solution but we're about solutions. We're not here to bitch, moan, and whine via the BMW method. We want to help. But I just want y'all to know that that's what we're about. I know it's not just the golfer, because I'm about the community. We just happen to live over there. But I know for a fact, these guys, I know for a fact Don's invested there and these other people over the years. It just takes the idea and then the ability and the willingness to do something. And I don't know if people have come down here over the years and said, we need to do this, or if they've actually acted on it. But if you tell me it's not possible, we're gonna find a way to make it possible, somehow, some way. So that's really what we wanna do. The short-term fix, understand there's turnovers and things that are going on and people coming and going, so I have respect. I work out at the Aquatic Center every morning. That's how I got to know Jim many years ago, at 5 a.m., the Breakfast Club. And there, Wendy Roberts, a friend, she's like, Steve, we have the same issue here. We don't have the staffing everywhere you go, right? So we don't have the staff. I respect that. But there's other options and solutions that we can do to help offset the lack of headcount to maintain it properly. But I know for a fact that when it's done properly, myself included, and I've played all over the state, I used to say this is the best value for any golf course in the state of Oregon. I've checked off about 70 of them. I'm on a mission to hit every one before I die. In Oregon, I'm 43, I just turned. So there's still time, hopefully. But it was the value, but now, through Corona and all these other things that people not wanting to work anymore, it's really hard. And when these guys were there, they're like, Steve, can you come and help us? Will you help? We'll do everything we can to help and use my resources. There's the buzzer. There's the timer. So, as we wrap up and we give you back your time here, is there anything you can leave us with, hope or something we can do for an action or anything?
Sure.
Yes.
So $5.
The golf
Your
course.
yard, I'm never in, yours, and I've played 198 courses in Oregon, I have 27 to go, so I'm ahead of
He's also a lot older than us, so you have time.
you. So,
And we're about solutions, and if we need to volunteer time to do stuff, we're more than happy to do that.
Yep.
We just need to know, what it is, how we can help, what we can do to improve, the asset that we all have.
And we all
Because
care about.
Yeah, and that we
Yeah.
care about.
Can I say something?
Sure.
I'd love to meet with you guys. I was the golf course superintendent there for 15 years. So I do know where things are, and it has been kind of a struggle getting the right people appointed in there, and we're working on it again. So we've kind of engaged the park crew and kind of everyone in the district to kind of get that back up to where it needs to go. It's gonna take a little bit of time.
Yeah.
And I've been down there, Don's been down there in the last few days.
4 o'clock. It's early.
But we don't
I
wanna wake you
heard-
guys up in the mornings, otherwise
Yeah.
we'd be there.
No, and that's fine. I mean, I understand. I work in a labor-intensive industry.
Yeah.
And it's very tough right now to get quality people. We've got our core group guys and we need additional guys. It's really hard to get them. And so I understand the struggle, and that's what we're here for, is saying, hey, we're a resource. If possibly, I understand you got your, your liability issues and stuff,
Yep.
but,
We have
I've heard-
we have volunteer forms that we can have, that's.
You'd be surprised if you reach out to people that live in this town, what is possible.
Yeah.
Just keep that. I mean, we've even talked about pitching in the neighbors to buy a roller for the greens, for example. We've looked on eBay, we got all kinds of ideas.
It's done.
Don?
So, actually, I will see the one. Go ahead.
Okay, my first question to Don is, and I know we've had trouble getting employees and retaining quality employees, but from our budget work session, the board has recommended increase in the amount of money that's gonna be available for salaries. And can you give us an idea of the increase that, at our next board meeting, that will approve what that typical groundskeeper, what that salary range increase is gonna be now?
We can give you that. Off the top of my head, I don't know.
It should be a substantial
Casey.
increase where we've struggled retaining employees
With minimum wage.
with minimum wage when they can
Ours
go
is
get
gonna
50
be
bucks an hour at
like $4
McDonald's.
over.
And this board has said our district is our employees, and we can't tolerate that any longer, and so
$10 now.
substantial additional funds in the budget for this year, which we expect to be approved at our June meeting, and that will be when they'll get the raise in.
And if the neighborhood is willing, like, to adopt a bunker, matter of fact, we had kids out there today
Yeah.
working on, that would be fantastic.
They got quite a few cleaned up. But,
Yeah.
you know, it takes time when there's a bunch
Yeah.
of golfers and,
Yeah.
Oh, sure.
I'll take all of them on the 8th fairway.
By your house.
And everything,
Tom?
no problem.
I'll take the
So-
6, Ron will take the 7.
I don't even need a plaque out there,
Oh,
just
okay.
tell me that's
Yeah.
mine and I'll go take care of it.
Okay.
And then I just want to know, as a follow-on, we have a set of board priorities, I think it's 9 now, but 2 of them are Third 9 and a clubhouse. So we'd struggle with profitability of the restaurant, but, you know, we've discussed, like you had suggested, having a partner. You know, that's not our core competence is running a restaurant, but
Yeah.
we can work with a partner, or the other option, what we had discussed would be like a food court, where the successful ones stay and the ones that don't end up leaving, so, but definitely, those are board priorities.
I talked with several restaurant people. I've even talked to McMillan. Now, I have not talked to them in the last 3 years, but there were people interested. What we have to offer is we can build a restaurant, and they would sign a long-term lease. That was the idea, they liked that. But putting it all together, and I think with your group and the neighborhood supporting that, it would go a long way. We could go out for an RFP, involve your group, and look at all the requests for proposals and make a decision on which way we're going to go and how we're going to do it. Now may not be the best time because of interest rates, but it's still out there.
Have you guys done a feasibility study on building the clubhouse and what that looks like as far as, there's construction, right? But then also the operation side. Has anybody done a feasibility study on what that would look like?
We have done 3 feasibility studies when we built the golf course itself.
Yeah.
And of course, that was part of it. But for the the restaurant by itself, no. But we would be interested in doing one, and we did. I'm trying to think of I wish Kellen was here, but he would tell us. We are working with an architect already in kind of the design. And in the design, the way we were going to do it was have the restaurant, the clubhouse, and then exactly what you talked about, an outdoor type situation. We even came up with where it was going to be located and what we were going to do. It was going to be we'll lose the green, the practice green that we have where the tent is. But we can build it farther
We
down.
can build another one.
Yeah, we'll build
Yeah,
another
there's some
one.
space down there.
Because it's a great view from the top of that putting
Yeah.
green.
Just, you can tap in, and we'll get going, you can tap in to the group of people. There's a whole bunch more of us that couldn't be here tonight because of work travel.
Yeah.
That would tap in. I know people, lots of people that have nothing to do with the greens that come here, men, women, children, friends, family, that would gladly pitch in and help with something permanent like that. So just keep that in mind. It's totally unfair and ridiculous to put that all on the district. But we can talk to people we know that would be pleased to potentially operate and run something like that. And the district get the building and the district get the lease dollars and all that. And that's how it should be set up.
Mark
But it's-
mentioned the food court models, so what you do is you put it in a Panda Express in an Indian place, and then you know Panda Express will be really, really busy, and there won't be anybody otherwise. That's how it always works.
Steve, I really like your idea of partnering with the wineries in this area.
Yep.
So we have, with the markets downtown, every Wednesday from 4 to 8, we have Social Goods and the Ewing Young Distillery down there. And it's been successful this year. And so those are groups of people, you know, that we can partner with to.
You imagine the sponsors,
It'd
look
be a
at the
great
wineries that are
community
coming up.
event, yeah.
Yeah.
They'd want their name on it.
The
You just-
gentleman from the Painted Lady
Great point, Julie.
talked to me and
Oh, the
said
Painted.
that he was interested in the restaurant type
It
situation.
quickly explained it wouldn't be Painted Lady prices.
Right.
He also owns stores, though.
But yeah,
Get Dario from Rosa Marino down there. He's our
we'll
neighbor.
put it,
Yeah.
we'll put together a meeting and have Kellen, and we'll bring in the architect. and
Perfect.
See where we can go.
Last, go ahead, Lisa.
Well, I think Jim wanted to say something. Bart had one final,
I'll just-
you weren't
I'm not
finished.
done, I see
You
that,
weren't
that doesn't
done.
mean I wasn't done, I was just
Okay.
letting Bart
All
go
right, so
first.
then I'll say something.
I'll keep it quick. We're a year or two away from paying off of the first 2 greens. And we're really strapped for cash right now, but the golf course brings in revenue. And once those are paid off, that'll change our.
The first 2 which?
Well, First
First
18
2
holes.
bills. First 18.
First, yeah.
So I heard it was paid off, it's not paid
Not
off.
paid off.
No.
Oh, it's next.
Good close.
25, yeah, 25.
Okay,
Yeah.
good.
Yeah,
Jim?
that's real good.
Do you want to go?
No, I'll go last.
Okay.
Well, a couple things. Are you guys, is this a representation of the HOA, or this is just
No.
folks that are?
No.
Nothing to do with the HOA.
Okay,
I
I just
am on the
wanted,
HOA board.
Just Newburgh residents.
Just.
Completely separate, no HOA.
But this is not HOA.
okay.
So,
Great
Would,
question.
would you want them involved in this?
No.
no.
I understand
I
HOA,
can
so
tell
it's
you-
doing it.
No offense
No.
to anyone associated with Blue Mountain or whatever the new name is.
No. Well,
No
that-
offense.
That's property management company.
I guess I didn't mean-
HOA
I didn't
our
mean to
HOA
bring it up,
board is
guys.
Totally separate. I gotta tell you that we would not want any,
I-
as an HOA.
It's a great question.
To be a part of it. We
Okay.
need to be individual, that people are supporters of the
Vested
course.
interest.
Citizens.
Yep.
Yeah.
Community
Just-
members.
Citizens.
Yes.
So that goes to my
Community
next,
citizens,
that goes to
okay.
my next comment,
Yeah.
is that, because I was boots on the ground with Park District for a lot of years, and we have always felt it's so important to set up partnerships with folks. So to be able to do that at the golf course with you and others, I think will go a long way to providing Don with his dream. But I do know that, and I have to tell you that when the golf course was formed and started, Don and his staff at that time had to scratch and beg and whatever to get that course built and put a modular building. I understand, and I wasn't excited about that modular building going in either for the clubhouse that we have right now. But the reality was, that's all we could afford, that's all we could do, and we wanted to get it open to the public. And so kudos to Don and Don
Yeah.
for doing that back there. So,
Totally.
but there was a ton of work to get that going. But
Yeah.
with that all said, just the partnerships that we could form is great for our district. And so I'm happy you guys came.
Thanks, Jim.
Thank you.
And we're well aware of the history, 100%. As someone
Yeah.
pointed out to me that used to be involved for 15 years, he said, Steve, Stone Creek Golf Course, they've also got a portable unit manufactured. I'm like, yeah, totally understand,
But we don't
respect.
have a community right there.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yep,
And
respect.
we talk about it all the time. We would probably be up there for dinner
Sure.
2-3
We
nights.
wouldn't leave.
There's
Yeah.
no place to go
Every
in
night.
Newburgh that's,
They get on
you're
with it.
either here or here, right? I mean, there's nothing
Yeah.
in between.
I definitely don't disagree.
Yeah, it's just,
And that's exactly what most people have said, even the gentleman, if, I'm not quoting him, but my understanding, he said what you said, the
Yeah.
middle,
Yes.
right there.
yeah.
Yep.
is what he would, because I said, we can't afford those
No,
high prices. He says, that's not the market. Market is right there.
exactly.
That's exactly right.
Okay, so I've waited patiently. So it's ironic you guys are here this weekend, or almost weekend, because as Casey and Dawn will remember, it was 17 years ago this weekend, Memorial Day weekend of 2005, when the course was not yet open, but it was so stinking busy out there that, you know, you couldn't get on to play. And that's when we decided, you know what, we need to open up and start charging money. So we'll let people go out and play, to kind of preview the course.
Couldn't get a final from the city.
Yeah, Memorial Day weekend
That's
of
funny.
2005 it was just, you know, must have 200 people out there that day. And so we're close to the anniversary of the grand opening. So, so I would say this, Madam Chair, we have talked around this, I have threatened this for years. I think it is time to have an ongoing golf course advisory committee. I think we have the first 4 members of the committee here, and I will choke any of you if you try to do anything other than make me the liaison to that committee. And so you, as the chair of the board, have the ability to create that committee. I would urge you to do so.
I would like to say one thing that supports both what Jim and Don have said. And prior to being on the board, my involvement with the CPRD had been as a community member, just interested in certain aspects. And one was the cultural center, and the other was the pool. And it is when groups like you come together that are willing to do work and time and money and raise those funds to help us, because we have more than just the golf course to take care of. And there's so many competing interests. However, when the community comes together in a committee like this that actually puts that time and effort in, the priority goes up higher, because it's a partnership, and it's an effort that's got a lot of support. So with that, I will say yes. Would you guys like to be on a committee that we will deem the golf course committee?
Yes,
Absolutely.
Love to be.
100%.
We will, and Dawn, would
Got
you
our
want
names.
to be the board member?
The chair.
I think there needs to be a lot of discussion on that point.
So yes, we will, have a golf course committee. Good luck. You guys are gonna have to get together and decide when you're gonna have your
You
meetings.
signed,
Sure.
in, you've got your,
You got the
Yep,
contact
yep,
info.
yep.
okay.
So-
If you just put an asterisk maybe next to your name as you leave, then they'll
Actually,
know
if you wanna
who's
put
it.
your
Yeah.
email addresses somewhere, that would probably be the easiest way for y'all to connect with each other, so.
Yep, we had our first
Yeah.
meeting Sunday at my house.
Okay,
Kind of be
cool.
a dual track thing,
If you
you know,
send-
there's the maintenance thing, then, you know, I missed various, you talk about, you know, sort of global issues, like you meant, like.
Clubhouse.
And there's clubhouse, and there's things that have been brought up that, you know, you may not have thought of, so we, you know, weddings are good. Weddings have been, you know, oh, it'd be a great place to have a wedding. Problem, you wanna have a wedding on Saturday, there's not a place to park people for wedding guests and people who play golf.
We've got the vision, Don.
So,
And
but,
Don, in case, we just, you gotta utilize the
anyway,
people.
so,
I agree.
anyway, we.
Julie knows how to get a hold of us.
We've
Me,
got,
she's
we've
got my
got
phone
a ton
number.
of things we can talk about, and
Yep.
we can start doing that.
Appreciate it.
Awesome.
Thank you for having
Thanks
us.
for coming, guys.
Thank you.
coming.
Thank you for
I have
having
one
us.
more question from volunteer standpoint.
Yeah.
Can we go online, do we need to go online or just to fill out a volunteer form or?
I think there might be one,
There are, if you go to
Yes.
the website, if you go down to the bottom, you'll see I think it's a
staff
staff forms.
forms. Yeah.
Oh,
Go ahead and
It'll
click
be
on
in there.
that, and you'll see a volunteer application.
We'll find it. Great.
Thanks, Julie.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks. We appreciate your time.
Appreciate your time.
Yeah.
Cool.
We'll talk soon.
You still remember giving me grief every time you see my
Take it easy,
videos?
Jim.
So, yeah,
Golf
so
cart,
I
the whole
remember,
thing.
have I asked you before, quick aside here, so are you a Newport native?
Born in Lincoln City, raised in Newport.
Okay, 'cause my mother-in-law still lives in Newport. She taught first grade on Point of View forever.
Who?
Mary Burton,
That was my first grade teacher.
my mother-in-law.
My favorite teacher.
My mother-in-law.
Mrs. Burton.
She's actually recovering from a very mild stroke, but she was okay.
She's still
Oh, yeah.
Thank you, guys.
All right, thank
So
you.
funny, I haven't seen him.
All right, is there anybody else here for public comment? No, all righty. We will then move on to action items. First
I'm
up,
sorry, before you go, what, are you guys here for, what are you here for?
For Pat Darby for the 5 acres on White Whiskey.
I think that was next on the agenda. So next on the agenda is discussion of right-of-way easement and donation of land.
So I don't, did everybody get the 2 proposals?
Yes.
So the reason that we put together the 2 proposals is because we've got,
Sorry, can you state your name?
I'm Terry Stenick, I own Valley Realty.
And I'm Pat Darby, the property owner.
All right, thank you.
Is that we've got 5 acres there that is buildable, it's in the county, but it's, definitely, there's the ravine. I mean, most of it is in the ravine, and we had heard that, I talked to Brian Stewart and I think to Casey, that if possible, that you wanted to have the property for, trails and that type of thing. So we kind of proposed, and I have talked to a couple of people that would build the house, is that we would have an access point, when you come in, where the gate is, that we would have an access point. I know Pat went out there, and about the only place that's even flat enough is straight in. And we would love it if we could move that boundary a little bit, where it's a little bit flatter there, because you can build on that ravine, like over on Carol Ann, you can build there, but you're talking like $150,000 for just the retaining walls. So that we would maybe give you 4 acres if we could retain an acre and have access. The one thing that we would need, and I don't know how much pull you have for the city, do you have very much pull?
We have discussions with the city.
What I can tell you is, any developers I've talked to, and I've been doing this 21 years, in the last couple, 2 or 3 weeks or a month, they said, because we also proposed, hey, there's that 50 by 100, area right there. Pat already has, there's an easement right there. There's that road that goes, because there's a bunch of houses and there's the easement. To be honest with you, they've all said, no, we don't want any more lots in the city. They would be interested in if it was like an acre in the county, but I hate to say it that way, the charges are so expensive now we're higher than Sherwood to be able to build a house. And so I think it's $50,000. So they would prefer to have, an easement that goes in there, and then be able to build the house on an acre, and then Pat would donate 4 acres. Now, another thing we thought of after we gave you that, or Pat thought of it, is a lot of times, you own a lot of property, sometimes you can trade. So if you have something that you can trade us, I don't know, there's a lot of properties that you own, I know, for that 5 acres, we'd be willing to trade too. So right now, it is buildable, we do have the easement. We could put 1 million retainer walls to drive to where they could put the house, but I imagine it'd be more than 150,000, because we can't even drive to it. So we're kind of landlocked, but not really.
I saw the maps and the whole packet part that's submitted here, but from the maps, I can't quite picture where that property is.
It's at the end of, go ahead.
So are you familiar with the park, with Friends Park then?
Yeah,
Okay, and you know where the gravel parking lot area is?
yeah,
So this is the property to the west of there.
okay.
Okay, it goes down by the river.
Right, and that's essentially when she referenced the location,
Mhm.
that's essentially the flatter
Right
area
there.
is
Well, that's a better picture
adjacent to
than I had.
that
Oh,
gravel parking lot.
yeah, this is
Black
where.
and white.
You got black and white, right?
Yeah.
Oh, and
Oh.
then this is the 50 by 100 flat area that we were proposing.
Okay, yeah,
And
that's
then This
helpful.
is a map of, it's AF10 now.
Right. That's agricultural forestry,
Mhm.
10 acre minimum.
And it's, the 5 acres is buildable. Of course, I've called the county and that's buildable, but, we don't need that other 4 acres. We don't really care about if we don't have the 5 acres, because Pat's willing to trade, because we can always, and that 50 by 100 spot is actually, there's a bunch of houses over here, and then there's the easement that he has to the 5 acres, But I was out there and there's actually a 50 by 100, I measured it, and you can see it on there, that could, a 5,000 square foot lot. The good thing is it's already in the city, because another issue we're gonna have is that it's so close to that ravine, because I've called my well and septic guys. I don't think we're gonna be able to get a well and septic. We're gonna have to do something where the city gives us access to the, sewer and water. And please make it so you go to the city that I don't have to. I don't have an X by my name there, but I was figuring hopefully one of you had an in,
If the
We know the
board,
mayor.
if the board is willing to move with this, personally, I recommended that we move ahead. What I'll do is get our attorney, first thing I have to do is make sure that the property is tradable.
Sure.
I believe that we have a fee simple title to that, but I want to make sure, because sometimes with parkland, there's restrictions. So I want to get with John before I even approach the city and do that. And I'll get with John Tuesday and do that. Then, after that, I will then contact the city and say, what if we do this? We redraw the boundaries of the park and include this, and in return, we give the lot. Will you, because remember, we were going to put a restroom there?
Mhm.
So this will actually help us at some point, so.
Is the park in the city limits?
That's my
Yes.
question.
Yeah, the park's in the
Yes.
city limits.
So the trade would be for that part that's in the city limits already, so you can access city water.
Well, either
sewer.
that parcel, the 5100 parcel that's already in the city,
City.
so, and I put on there that we would have access from Kennedy, because there's that little part, you'll see that we'd have to be able to have access to the 50 by 100, and then of course sewer and water are already there.
I believe that is public access, but before I say that, I will check with
Okay.
the city and I'll get with John.
This is where you.
Very
And then,
good.
once I put that together, I'll call you guys and we'll have a meeting with the attorney and the city there, if that's agreeable to you. Rather than involve you up front, let me do the homework and go there. If that's not possible and we can't trade the property, I'm not against giving them the easement or the right of way so that you can build. It would not.
Right, but you're still gonna have then the issue of bringing it into the
Right.
city, and
Well,
that's.
the one thing is the city has told me is that, because I do a lot of dividing properties and things, is that it is a lot easier now to bring a piece in than it was even. They're kind of wanting, urban growth boundary, they're wanting to bring it in, and it is in the urban growth boundary. So I don't think we'll have too much of a problem with that.
No.
Yeah, I know it's
I'm-
surrounded by city.
Yeah, it's surrounded by
Correct.
city,
So you have access to utilities and it helps their density
yeah,
calculations.
and it's right there too. I mean,
Yeah.
literally the sewer is right there, at the end of that easement, matter of fact. It's
So-
where the-
50
Right,
by
so-
100 is in the city limits, this
Yeah.
ravine is in the county?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's correct.
And would you want to keep it in the county whenever you
Uh,
guys do the trails?
Well, it
No.
I
would
would
depend
prefer to
on,
have it in the city.
it would depend on what we
Loaded
did
question.
with the city.
Whether it's mine.
We have always had a trail going through there
Oh,
for quite some time.
okay.
And Mr. Darby is aware that I believe your parents were, I remember there was a red dot there. They were against the trail coming through that, which we respected, and we said, that's fine. And we could have went around that. But when you came in, you came to me a couple of years ago, I believe, and been very cooperative in that area. And I think it would work out good for everyone.
Good.
So
Great,
with a motion from the board, I'll move on it.
I have some questions.
sure.
Really quick, that, also, Don, we got a grant on that property.
Yes.
And so that's something you might want to contact Mark Callen about. I don't know how that would affect us at all, but just talk to him.
Yes.
You know, I think
The
they should.
land and water. Well, no,
Well,
it
no.
was not land and water,
No,
it
it's-
was estate.
Right, it was.
That's
community-
different. If it was land and water, we could do it, but it would take 2 years. I've done it before.
Right, but I still, I've talked with Mark, because they gave us, what, 175,000 or whatever it was to help build this park.
It was more than that.
More than that.
Yeah, that's right, that's right. And I wrote that darn thing, I forgot.
Yeah.
The other part of this is I went down there and looked at you, so you staked it, it looks like. Somebody
Kind of,
staked
yeah.
it, yeah. I
Yeah.
kind of saw where you were at. So Don, if you could share with I know that a new board member and so on, if you could share the advantage of us being able to have that canyon as part of the Park District land for the board, that'd be good.
Well, first of all, I think the primary reason for that is the wildlife and the habitat and those type things. Also, the stream going through there, the Hess Creek that runs all the way down to the other, and the preservation of that. The city has talked to me, and they'd be in favor of it too. And the reason I say that is, I'm not speaking for them, but they have an easement through there, and they need to get to that. And there's going to be some work going on. Bart's probably familiar with it.
Their sewer line.
Right, and I think it's a good deal. It protects the community and that whole area. We would go in, take the invasive species out, and do all that. So it would just make it part of the park.
And that could be part of the proposed trail that goes from
Yep.
Vancouver up to
Yeah,
the treatment plant.
that's correct.
Yep, that would be fantastic.
Have you discussed anything with the neighbor right there that's right front? They've got that little street to their
Yes.
house there?
I do have, I believe we have talked to them in the past.
Okay.
Many years ago, we met with the entire neighborhood. That's how we met your
They
parents.
changed.
There
And-
is
Person.
There is a new neighbor at the very end there that I've spoken to, and he's aware of our easement.
Yeah.
Okay.
We'd reach out again.
Yeah, because that's important, so that's
Yeah.
a surprise.
Yeah,
So they don't
the
touch
gentleman
it.
that was there before was pretty hard to deal with. And then just so happened this other lady was out there. The reason that they're gonna be in favor of it is because the easement goes past their property, you know, there's a road there.
Right.
And of course, they like parking right there. Well, they're not really supposed to park on the easement, so that would be something where they would like that, because basically with that, they're gonna know that, you know, there's not gonna be a house at the end of it somewhere. Are you talking about the 50 by 100 piece, or doing the acre on the other one? What's,
I'm open. The only thing Jim alluded to, we got to check with the state because we've received state money on that.
and is John Bridges the one that is?
Right.
Oh, good.
But John, I want to involve the attorney to make sure that
Absolutely.
we go through that. It'll take a little time. If I remember correctly, the state says that if you may substitute land for additional land, but it has to be approved prior to doing it. So it's doable. I've done it in the past.
Yeah. that's
So,
right.
but I think this is just a no-brainer. They'd probably say absolutely. So,
We have time. We've had the property for
okay.
65 years,
Yeah.
so.
Oh, wow. That long.
All right,
The
well,
board's already, previous to this, in our discussion, email discussion before the meeting, told the superintendent we weren't opposed to having him negotiate with you on this, so.
Great.
So do you need
Do we
some
need
kind of
to-
motion done?
should we be authorizing him to move forward?
Yeah,
Just an authorization to.
correct.
Motion, there's a consensus already.
Yeah.
If there's a consensus, that's good enough for me.
Yeah.
I think once you come back and then
Yeah, to
the
vote on the
actual
final.
transaction's gonna happen is when we would go ahead and make a
We have to
motion.
vote on the final.
Yeah,
deal, but-
exactly, so.
And Bart, looking at this agenda, I don't know why I didn't catch it, but there was supposed to be a B on here, and that B was the easement, or the vacant easement that I called you guys about, that you said we should.
Yeah, too late now, right for the,
Yeah.
It was in the packet as far as the paperwork,
Yes.
but it's not on here yet. It was in the packet.
Yeah, I don't know how this got.
That's separate from you guys, though.
Oh, I just
Yeah.
said,
Yeah.
No, that's not you guys, so.
Yeah,
Well, then do we have to go back and since,
no,
to do the amendment
Well-
or additions to the agenda? 'Cause
yes.
we- Okay. So I'll have to. For you guys, thank you.
thank you.
Appreciate
I appreciate you coming.
That's great about the golf course.
Yeah,
Oh my gosh, thank you for passing that too, because
yeah.
that's gonna help everybody.
The more people
Thank
get
you.
involved, the better off we are.
The,
I bet.
All right.
Thank you, Don.
Do we have to go back and undo the?
the vacant vacation application for the road next to Gales Park was in your background, but for some reason, I left it off the agenda.
So
But
Lisa was just asking
it's
if we
a
need to
typo,
back
actually.
and reopen the addition to the agenda.
Yeah, so, all right, I'll take a motion to reopen the additions to the agenda.
Yeah, I'll make a motion to reopen the addition to the agenda to discuss the,
I remember everything last.
I have a second.
Second.
All right. Jen has moved and Bart has seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, any opposed? All right, the agenda is now open. Now, do we have
I
to,
move we add whatever it is that Don wants to talk
the
about.
street vacation?
Great vacancy, that was it.
All right, so a
Vacation.
motion has been made to discuss the street vacancy, or vacation. Yeah.
Well, second
it
that
would-
to the-
You'll second it? All
Yeah.
right. Cool. That's, all those in favor, say aye.
I,
Aye. Any opposed? No? All right, let's have
and
that.
we
conversation.
close the agenda for any further additions.
All right, a motion to close the agenda. Do I have a second?
Second.
All right. Thank
Aye.
you.
Aye.
All right, all those in favor? All right, any opposed? Okey dokey. Wow, Kayla, do you have all that?
I think so.
Okay.
I think so.
that's impressive.
Yeah, that is. All right, Don, it's you, the street vacation. What do we want to talk about this?
Oh, well, you guys just approved it. It's something that we requested, I don't know,
Yeah, a
maybe
couple weeks
5
ago.
years ago.
Oh, no, yeah, oh, you mean the whole
Right,
thing?
Right. The
5 years
whole
ago at
thing,
least.
It
More
was,
than that.
it was
Yeah.
when we
Yeah.
built Gal Park. The city and the Austins that owned the land next didn't want to commit to that. Now they would like it vacated, which we already wanted it vacated. So I saw no reason not to do it. So it just and Paulson, the company said that the road itself would just be part of the park.
So this is by John Gilpart?
Tom, yeah.
Tom.
Tom
Tom
Gilpart.
Yeah.
His son actually went to the street. So-
As long as, yeah, that's clear. I think it's a great addition to the park.
Right.
I think that would be great, as long as the city agrees to that.
Well, it has to go through the city's process. We're just agreeing as a landowner, but it still has to go through a city process.
All right, well-
Everyone benefits from it.
Yeah.
Are there any
We
questions?
vacate the street adjacent to Tom Gale Park, as discussed.
That'd be Henry Street, wouldn't it?
It is.
I have a second.
I will second that.
Mark lives on?
Yeah, he lives down farther.
Yeah.
He lives much farther.
Don, do you want to give me that motion then?
Don made the motion, Bart seconded the motion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All righty. remember not to do that the next time. There's
Yeah.
a lot of back and forth. Reports and comments from board members. Anybody? You wanna start? All right, Jim?
So today, which I really appreciate, is that we're able to get community groups to help beautify our parks, as it sounds like they're doing with the possibly with the golf course in the future. But today we had the Rotary Club, the new Rotary Club used to help beautify Memorial Park prior to Memorial Day, when the veterans do their what is it, their honor guard and so on and so forth on Memorial Day. And so we were out there, and that's why I have my Rotary Club shirt on, because we were out there doing that and putting bark dust and so on. I can say that that the park crew had done a good job prepping it for the bark dust, so we didn't have to get down there on our knees and do the weed thing. But with that said, also, one of the things that came up, and may come up to us in the near future, is citizens came up and said that some of the veterans have been talked to about, there's a monument for the World War II and World War I, I'm not sure what, in Korea, I think maybe. But there's been more conflict since then, and more folks from this community that have passed away, simply protecting our country. And that may come to us later on, to where they want to expand that monument to be able to honor those folks. That doesn't mean the Park District's going to finance it or anything. They just say it may come to us. So for your information, that may come our way. So anyway, that's it.
For clarification, that is a city-owned park though, right? Just so we do the maintenance.
Is it really a city-owned park?
It is.
We lease it from the city for,
Yeah,
I've never seen the city out there.
we take care of it, but I think it's city-owned. So.
Yeah, but anyway, that'll come to us probably, and the city will say whatever.
Jim, the Legion, they use the Falcon Crest room every Tuesday
Yeah.
evening. And it is amazing how many people attend those meetings. I would say
Great.
at least 30, 35.
Wow.
It's really neat too. They all come in with their uniforms on. And so they've kind of taken over that room. We let them kind of do what they want, and they have really beautified, for lack of a better word, that room, don't you think? They have all their stuff. I mean, at first we
There's a
complained
lot of
about it, but
stuff
then
in
it was good. But it's really neat to see. And that parking lot is absolutely packed
Great.
on Tuesday night. So that's encouraging with COVID. Everybody's coming back.
That's all I have.
Glad somebody could still fit into their own uniform.
Anybody else?
Are we going in order here?
Sure. Bart, do you have anything?
Yeah, I just like to keep it a topic of discussion. I really love to work with the county on the landfill property, and work with the Lindquists on the easement, so really love to see the paddle launch come back. And there's a couple of places we could do it, but just like to keep it in your mind.
I agree. Don?
Well, I'm sorry it has to come to this, but I need to report that the administrative director has failed to update Candy in her office for several weeks now. This is an affront to board members that pop in the office, and I certainly hope to see that rectified soon.
Duly noted. How about I give you the money so you can go do my shopping?
Ooh, nice.
I hate shopping, so that's just.
There's lots of places that, bring it to you.
Amazon.
Yes. It tells you how often though I go to the grocery store.
Just off the cuff.
Duly noted. Duly noted.
Do you have anything else? Or
Nope,
no,
that's
just
it.
Candy, okay. How about you, Gail?
I'm good, thank you.
All right. The Cultural Center is still moving forward with trying to get the next phase done. And as you probably saw, part of the problem is gonna be the parking.
Yep.
And so we may have to all go and present ourselves at city council at some point to really push for a variance. They've known forever that they're gonna have to do a variance for parking, because there is no parking down there, so.
It'll be the third variance. When we built
Yep.
the first time, we got a variance.
Yep.
people forget, the Park District, we had a 200-car parking lot there. It was the community that came to the city and said, no, we want the green space. The city said, would you change your plan? Well, how do we change our plan when we don't have enough parking? They said, well, we'll give you the variance. Okay, well, every time a new person comes in, they say there's not enough parking. Well, I'm sitting there going, my God, how many times do we have to do it? But you're right, it's just a process and we have to go through it. But I think for the record, it was originally, we had enough parking there. It was a request by the community and the city that we change it, and we agreed, and we changed it. I think it was a good thing. I'm glad that they requested it. So I'm not disappointed. And I purposely go there every time they have a tune on Tuesday. I walk the streets myself. I watch what they do. And are they some people who are not very kind? Yes. And that'll always be the case. But the neighbors themselves, what I found, I'm going by and I'm walking the streets to make sure people are not parking. The neighbors have a big party before the tunes on Tuesday, and they invite all the people. So they park all over the streets, and then they all walk down that. And so the neighbors next to them gets upset. Well, you know, what do you do? And how do you do it? But we did form the cultural district, and we talked about that. The one thing I will say is I've talked with the cultural center. The programming is very important. How you program that. In other words, you can't have 2 or 3 large events. That's not going to work. I'd put a stop to that. And I've talked with the cultural center and the cultural board, and they agree with that. So with the proper programming, we can make things go right.
Perhaps we could show up at the city council meeting with a request for a variance, or if they don't like that, we could have a proposal for a 10-story parking structure that's well lit inside and out with the big flashing red light on the top, so airplanes don't hit it.
That'll mean historical review, right?
Tell them that we need, one or the other.
Yeah.
And Gil, just for edification, like the cultural center, the building and the land is owned by CPRD, but the cultural center does all of the operations. And so we have, it's kind of a public-private partnership that we work with the cultural center. And so that's why we are involved in this and not just letting the cultural center folks take care of it. Thank you.
You, the board, have the oversight because you appointed the original board and did that. There's a written agreement to all of that.
Alrighty, anything else? Not hearing any. Next on our agenda is updates on projects. I think that's you, Casey.
Lots of projects.
You have any going?
Huh?
You have any going right now?
No.
Okay.
The bypass project is, we met with ODOT right of ways, and we met with the ODOT rail on the rail crossing. Found out it might be more expensive than we thought.
Always.
Always is. A lot of people involved, the county, city, PGE, the rail line, the owner of the mill site. Yeah, there's a lot. And then there was, some got brought up that the ODOT didn't put the path in the right spot. And Don mentioned to me, well, city permitted, so we'll just leave it alone because they said it was okay. So there's a lot of things going on with that. The design is about 30%. So we're working with Greenworks with that, and we're talking to ODOT about the structural integrity of their maintenance road to see what weight limits we can take down there for the beams and things for the bridge. And talking to ODOT to get an agreement, because there was never a formal agreement as to us using the right-of-way for the pathway. But they don't seem to have I don't think they're gonna have an issue. It really wasn't identified as well, in spots and places it was. But the ODOT right-of-way is, it's acceptable for ODOT right-of-way, and Don and I had a meeting with Jessica Horning about 2014 or 15, and she was all for that kind of stuff.
We have applied previously for 2 Tiger grants with the Department of Transportation, their board of directors. And we were not successful, they were not successful. They want that trail. That's why they're working with us to get that. They encourage CAT to apply for the money, and the good news is we have to put less match in the second phase.
Yeah.
I think this phase was 30%.
30%,
Yeah.
yeah. Next
And-
one is 10.27.
Yeah.
something like
So it's less percent, of course it'll cost more, but less percentage for us. So that's good news. And we're just gonna continue to work with them. And it was in their environmental impact statements. All of that was done many years ago when they put in the bypass. So we've stayed on top of it. Of course, ODOT's had a lot of changeover, and we tried to stay on top of it so we don't lose it, the connectivity and the project, so.
And we're still working on the campground and all the schematic, and I think Paul said it was about 30% as well. And they're doing some traffic impact studies, and they've been in touch with ODOT and the county, and are running some things through them. So the county's aware of what we're doing, and that's good or bad or whatever. Maybe some good news on the property down there is that when ODOT did their mitigation down there, it was in perpetuity. And it's a, what is it, EF 80 land? And technically, you can't farm that anymore.
That's correct. We
So,
keep telling the county.
Instead of
that.
80 or 90 acres that we have, we really only have 15 acres that we can, we can go to the county and ask for, we would like to get this rezoned because, we want to build a campground. And I don't know if John wants to rezone it parks and open space, which would be an acceptable use.
What's the chance that that can happen?
Pretty good.
Okay,
I would think so.
okay.
That's why we originally, when ODOT approached us, I saw the correlation. And I knew what we wanted, so it made sense to me. And it was a step in the right direction, because we'd have done exactly what ODOT did with it, we would have done it. And instead, we got almost $1.5 million to get that accomplished, so it was a no-brainer.
Sander Estate, we have, I don't know the exact date, Kat's keeping track of that for me, but we have a presentation to do for the grant itself. So we're getting up there, and it's a $750,000 grant.
What are we using for the match on that again?
The 2016 appraisal from when she donated the
Yeah.
land fully, which was over $1 million, so it takes care of that.
Did Mark go ahead and move yours forward then to meet in front of the committee?
Yes.
Good.
Yep. What else? We've been finding more staff, which has been really good. Brian's doing a hell of a job. I think he's hired like 10 people in the last 2 weeks. So,
I processed 7.
My hand's getting tired.
Plus 4 rehires.
yeah.
Really?
So,
That's good.
so we're using Park Crew down at the golf course to kind of mend that situation, and hopefully in a few weeks we'll get it under control. It's kind of gotten out of control, so.
Do the park employees, do any of them know about the potential pay increase in June?
I've told all my full-time staff, yeah.
Yeah, I think some of the
And I
things that-
think Brian's reached out to the people that are employed,
Yeah.
and, you know, it's hard, like, you hire someone, and then his brother wants to come to work, and you have to tell him, okay, well, yeah, you're at $13.50 now, but July 1, we can move you up.
Okay.
Because you can't hire one at a different rate than the other. So,
We had funds, and I approved probably 2 or 3, because there was an emergency situation that they need, otherwise they would have lost them. So
Okay.
I agreed to let it be 30 days early, and went ahead and approved it, so.
we hired, I guess that's not really a project, so I won't have to talk about that. Now, what other projects are we doing?
So is there any update on
The pool?
No, the Ewing Young, like the.
The bridge?
Yeah, I know that you're waiting.
They
like,
were waiting for a NEMA, or, yeah, I think the NEMA report, or FEMA. And FEMA finally got back to them after 5 months and said, we don't really have anything that's specific to that site. So they're gonna make them do the hydraulic study themselves, and they can still do that within their contract price, so. And then they just submit it to FEMA, and they okay it.
So you have to wait till you get the FEMA designation before you can make the application to the county for a permit or whatever it is, or to.
Yeah, and they're gonna deny it, and so we're gonna have to appeal it, so that's kind of just the way it is.
And we can't
It's
just.
AF10 too, by the way.
So would it be helpful for a board member to go to a county commissioner meeting and speak?
Well, this is gonna come up when we are looking at rezoning the campground and getting the county to approve our master plan.
Okay.
So it's kind of should be all tied together.
Well, my understanding, they can go ahead and deny it, and I get that, just, it's disappointing to me, but the reality is if we're within the
Waste of
law,
taxpayer
and we
money.
meet the code, then we'll just jump through those hoops, and then we'll make it happen.
Yeah.
We just have to jump through the hoops that shouldn't be there, but are there.
Well, is there any reason we don't try to incorporate it into the city?
Well, somebody was asked to do that a long time ago and they didn't do it.
As a matter of fact, the city, we could
not sure they
probably
would've gone
sue
across the
the
river.
city and win,
They wouldn't have done that across the river.
but we're not gonna.
The city doesn't want you to pull it into the city?
Well, they told us they were pulling it in, but they only used the stream bed rather than the property line.
Could we ask the staff to go back to the city and say we'd
Ask for
like
it
to?
be incorporated, and then we
Well,
don't have to go to the
we-
county.
I've talked to them about that, and and the amount of time, so I was told, I don't know, but the amount of time, the process we're doing will probably be faster by bringing it into the city.
All right.
That's
Well,
what
that
we were
Sounds
told.
ridiculous, though, if you have to go, wait till you can even apply, then you have to go through LUBA. And
Well-
then you, I mean, how is it the,
There's nothing FEMA, even with the city there, would have to do all that anyway.
right, I get it,
Right.
but the whole LUBA process is usually quite lengthy.
Well,
Well,
Uh,
I doubt,
Either way, it's
I'm
fine,
gonna
it's just a
put
suggestion.
faith in the commissioners, I think common sense.
What commissioners are you talking about?
I mean, they come and deny things for no good reason, so.
Guys, I'm sorry, I'm gonna, again, I just try to be optimistic and go
Yeah,
that
you're
way.
gonna just jump through the hoops, and it's disappointing, and it's a waste of taxpayers' time and money, but we'll just jump through the hoops.
We must go that way.
Okay.
And again, they're reasonable people. I'm counting on that.
Sorry.
The aquatic center,
Number of guns buried in the ground out there.
they pretty much put everything up on the roof. It's just not activated yet. They put some VFDs up there, and I didn't say anything. And they put them up there, they're not really weather tight, and they'll probably have to replace them. It's not hurting us any.
Make sure they replace them before they walk away.
Oh, I know. So, that was, JRT. I don't know who ordered the VFDs, but they were spec'd through the engineer, and that wasn't the spec that he gave them, so,
Oh, really? JRT's usually pretty good at installing.
yeah. Anyway, so that's that. What else?
Is anything come about concerning the Ewing Young culvert issue?
No, not yet. Fine.
I'm sorry, not Ewing Young, I'm sorry,
Crabtree.
Knudsen, Crabtree.
No, and he was supposed to let me know last Friday.
Okay.
Yeah, they got a pre-order, they're just gonna kind of do a fish culvert and put it in there.
Hmm.
It won't be the 5%, but it's what they can do. And so it's a flat bottom culvert, so it's not as big as an 8-foot culvert like the Fish Passage one. There's a 2-foot culvert in there right
Oh, I know it's in there. It's been there for longer than we've been here.
50 years, probably,
Yeah.
60 years. So,
Okay.
yeah, it's moving along, but slowly. The fish, ODF and W, Greg Hapke, he's the key to the fish migration, and he is a strict rule follower, so. We tried to do it with mitigation, now we're just gonna do something, and if they don't like it, we could apply for an emergency culvert repair, but knowing that we would have to go back later and do proper fish passage, so. We're trying to do the right thing and not have to do it again.
No, I get it. I'm sure the fish count is pretty high.
Yeah, I saw kids fishing in that creek.
Oh, yeah, like zero.
Fishing, not catching.
And Russ has been kind of working up the Riley property and kind of all over the district, helping with the ball fields, and we're waiting for equipment. It's been since September that I ordered some of it. The golf course still has some to come, the parks have some. Russ got his excavator.
Oh.
Oh, he did, he's probably like,
Well,
like 20
he was a
years
little
late,
bit
but-
kind of, he didn't like it at first, and then he got to use it a little bit, and he says,
He brought the manual in.
Oh,
Or that
brought-
day he brought the manual in, and he was just overwhelmed by the manual.
So, what other projects? Well, that's about it, I think.
Thanks, Casey. All right, next up is our pickleball advisory committee.
Yes, well, we've been on hiatus for 2 months, waiting for grant outcomes and so forth, none of which we got. The latter one, which I'm sure you're all familiar with, the ARPA money from Yamhill County was released as X, adjudicated as Z and Y, and literally everything from in Newburgh was eliminated, including one of the selections. We weren't high up, so I'm not complaining about that. But the cultural center was clearly kicked off as an off the winners list because of the wonderful commissioners, the way else speaks why. So anyway, that's water over the dam. I checked in with the person who administered the grants, and she was extremely upset with the whole operation. I thought we'll never get another person to work on an evaluation of the grant because of that.
Yeah.
Anyway, moving right along, one of the things that we've talked about after that is different approaches, lower cost approaches and so forth. And we have found that the coverings for these buildings, for the structures, we can buy used for about 1/7 the cost of new. And they're available, various sizes and so forth, big enough to accommodate a large number of courts. So instead of spending, $1 million, 2 or 3, you'll spend $200,000 transported, erected, engineered. So, anyway, there's a lower cost way to do that. And if we can certainly put together a budget for that, of course, too.
I'm sorry, Hunter, is that a steel building, is that a?
A tensile structure, just like George Fox.
Okay.
Generally, these used ones will have a lifetime of 12 to 14 years as far as the covering is concerned, used putting the covering up. The buildings themselves are good for 20, 30 years, depending on how you anchor them, whether it's in concrete or drilled into the ground. Last year, I was about one of these meetings, we were talking about the ability to get funding from the board, from the Parks District. And I said, well, not this year because it's pretty much plugged in, but maybe next year you can. And I haven't heard anything come from the board regarding funding or even our priorities in this right now as far as getting support from the board. As far as our involvement, one of the things we're curious about is the board actually interested in facilities that produce positive net revenue and require no other than initial building positive net revenue continuously through their operations. Is that something you want or not? If it isn't, that really changes the whole scope of this.
I think we'd be foolish to say no, but.
It sounds like a
It's-
trick question.
It does, because the
Well, it's
thing
not so much
is,
a
it's
trick
like if.
question, is that, most of the operations of the district are subsidized in one form or another.
All of them except for the golf course.
Yeah, okay, well, this one, we looked at the larger size, well, even at just 25% occupancy, we're looking at $1.3 million a year on 25% utilization. That's gross revenues, and after you subtract out, we have like 4 full-time equivalents and so forth. We were down to maybe $1.1 million a year. Now, maintenance on it is just trivial because there's really nothing to maintain its courts. And you can testify that, just look at the cost of Chapel to maintain. You don't spend any money on that. So, in any case, that's a question we think that's critical to proceeding forward, is if we're gonna do one of these facilities, then the ability to generate revenue is gonna be key. Because we think it's gonna pay for a lot of other things in the district too. I mean, courts and tents aren't maintenance defined spaces of courts is pretty small, so we're not talking about a big maintenance facility or a big maintenance program. Currently, all the people that are involved maintain the courts every day when they play. They're blown off, if there's water on them, they're swept off by us. We supply all the equipment. We supply, that's nets, that's balls, that's paddles for people coming on. We're sponsoring events that generate revenue for the park system, and we just did one. One bad thing about that last one we did was the rain and weather affected, one of the reasons we want a covered facility. But also the lining of the courts, which had to be taped out, got wet and blown off, which cut down the number of people who showed up, which really made a lot of contestants mad. We only had 150 contestants this year. Last year we had 250 twice. So maintaining a dry court or one that where the markings don't blow off is critical. Now I've taken a proposal to Casey and to Julie for a taping machine that allows you to tape out any kind of court, basketball courts, tennis courts, whatever, and then paint them with rollers. And we'd like to get, and they've agreed
Hunter, I
to.
purchased that. I'm
Pardon?
sorry to interrupt you, but we've already purchased that. Casey's
good.
been gone for the last 2 days, so I haven't had a chance to tell him, but it'll be here in about a week.
Great,
Yeah.
and, we're prepared to support getting that done too. We spent about $1,000 in supplies just to keep the courts up to shape, new nets, balls and so forth. So we're putting the effort forward, and there's people behind it. And we're getting a lot of people from out of town playing here, as other courts shut down for whatever reason, maintenance or whatever. And we're continuing to organize events. We have another coming up June 4th, and that's to get a whole bunch of people involved. It's free to get them involved with playing pickleball, whatever age group, seniors, whatever, it doesn't make no difference. We have community organizations behind us right now. You guys have seen the letters. The Chehalis Valley Chamber of Commerce, Taste Newburgh is behind us, Providence Hospital is behind us. So we think there's a lot of community involvement here, and there's certainly a lot of community support and involvement in supporting the organization. So we're actually doing it today. It's not something about the future, this is what's going on. So with the restriping, we'll be able to facilitate more tournaments on Jakewith. Although Jakewith is getting in poor shape, and everything we have out there is temporary. The tennis courts are permanent, and even the tennis guys are gonna start complaining because the nets are just falling apart. And I guess there's some consideration of tearing out all of Jakewith within some period of time, and I don't know how that's on any budget. I don't think it's on any budget yet.
I was unaware of that.
Tearing it out to redo it, is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Oh, to redo, okay. I
Yeah,
was
no,
like,
not tearing it out to
it's
remove,
gone.
tearing it out to, because it's settling. And there's a lot of cracks and so forth because it was built on, basically, I think Casey said swampland or something like that.
It's well.
Wetlands, excuse me. So anyway, that's our pitch. We're gonna, proceed forward with, we can come up with budgets for these, but I mean, we need your support in this. I mean, we're certainly writing grants, and we're willing to do that. We've taken that load off of you completely. And, we're open to ideas. Have you guys pursued this in any of your operations, any other locations or facilities?
Not really, no.
Okay,
Casey, what, I thought you were working with the district on that.
Well,
Yeah.
we
Section.
identified the school district, the new elementary school up in Dundee, but that's a ways off.
and I noticed Rennie is now gonna have a new track.
No, it's gonna
We'll
have
have
a
AstroTurf field.
turf field, yeah.
Yeah.
And that's because we overuse our fields now, our grass fields. I mean, we use our baseball fields for soccer and football and whatever else we use.
Yeah, we don't have any soccer fields in
Yeah.
town at all, and so we have 510 kids right now playing soccer, and they don't have a facility to play in. So definitely, that is a priority for the district.
We
Not
did-
saying that pickleball is not, but.
We did get a grant,
Yeah.
750,000, and we're putting money with it to build that, and we're cooperating with the school board and the school district to do that. To answer your question, the name is escaping me, but there's a gentleman who is doing a development.
Brian Bellars,
Yes,
that's my wife's cousin.
okay. And I don't know how fast they're going to move.
Until the development is okayed by
Yes.
expanding the urban growth Browning and all the county stuff, you know, it's probably not in our lifetimes.
Well-
And the number of courts he was talking about was like 2 or 3.
Yeah, we talked early on, and it was more than 2 or 3, but that was our conversation, because we were gonna build some in conjunction with his and build it at Shad Park. So, but again, you're probably right, it's years away. What we'll do is, Julie, probably at our next meeting, we need to sit down and come up with a plan. If you're looking at $200,000, we may be able to come up with something. I think the design or the building of those, if I remember correctly, Julie, 60, 70,000
Yes,
a court.
yeah.
So with that, and again, we'll put together a game plan and maybe try, the Land and Water Fund is coming up. So we'll see how it goes, and I'll have Julie report back to you guys.
And I think
I have a
Hunter too.
question, really quick. So, we were talking before about using part of the Dundee new school property for the indoor pickleball deal. You know, when you're looking at your facility, we're not just looking at your facility, but we're also looking at a large area of parking, which probably would have corresponded with the school district's parking.
Right.
My thought is that if you wanted something that large, like I went to Bend and saw theirs and saw the donations that they got to do theirs, and really nice outdoor facility. Granted, their weather's a little different, but if you were to build an outdoor facility there, let's say, and not cover it at this point, and maybe not gain the revenue stream you wanted, but be able to provide the recreational activity to the constituents of this district, is that something to think about? And I'm just throwing it out there, I'm not saying,
Then you would just cover Jacob Park.
well, I don't think
the
Jacob
tennis
Park
courts
has
might
the
be
parking
efficient.
to support.
What I'm just saying is that if you were going to do just this community,
No, I said our district.
your district, you would just cover Jacob Park.
But then we already can't handle the overflow for parking. You know,
Gotcha.
like we have, because when you have those tournaments, at the same time we're having softball tournaments and.
Because what I'm saying is down the road, we may be able to cover it, but in the meantime, we may be able to build it, is what I'm trying to say.
For
The
normal-
attraction park will be the covered facility, not
For-
indoor, first of all. This is not an indoor facility, it's a
Yeah.
covered facility.
Normal day-to-day operation, pickleball, Jake could handle it easy.
But the tournaments.
It's the tournaments that it can't handle. Now, there is an alternative there. I don't know what they want. I've been working with the church next door. But
Hunter, I think that we can our pickleball advisory group, I think we still need to continue to meet and write grants and get together. I still think the perfect place for those courts, and I don't think you guys like that area very much, is the Rennie Field area. So you know where
Well, it's between where the track is and the bench.
yeah, so if
field.
you, where the tennis courts are now, if you can get 8 courts in there. If you build, use the existing tennis courts and then move towards, down the
Baseball
fence line there.
Yeah.
I think that is the perfect space. So next week, I haven't seen Don and Casey this week because they've been out on tractors, but I talked to Dave Brown and he wants to meet with Casey, Don, myself, and the George family. And if you would like to join us for that,
Sure.
then maybe we could look at that area and
We're not
you could-
objecting to renting, believe me. That's never been an objection.
Okay, yeah,
Our biggest concern is what is happening in Lake Oswego. I know this is
Will
not
the
Lake
neighbors
Oswego.
complain about the noise, is that?
Oh, yeah, they're just putting a hammer on those
Yeah.
guys. I mean,
Yeah,
what
I'm
they
more concerned about
discovered-
that too.
The neighbors discovered if you have empty, unused tennis courts, and you compare that to used pickleball courts, there is a huge sound difference.
Yeah.
And that's the biggest objection to people converting to pickleball.
Yep.
And so there would have to be things like sound abatement put in across the street, so forth. And granted, with football in the field there, no, but we have no objection to renting,
Yeah,
never have.
okay.
We just thought it was gonna be like possible because of the politics of the district,
Yeah.
what the city might do to you in system development charges, which I'm sure they're gonna come after you. Not
Yes.
that they've ever done that before, but.
Well, I think the parking kind of is an issue too, but I think that's a great spot. And I also think, that's a school, it used to be a school, and that we're gonna be having, lots of soccer games there, and so there is gonna be a lot of sound. So I don't really see that as being a huge issue, because when you purchase next to, an area like that, you should kind of expect that. It's like people who live around Jakewood too.
No, I think that's fine. I think it would actually bring a lot more business traffic into the
Yeah.
community. And that's one of the things we built with these relationships is,
Right.
you understand the economic impact outside of just revenue to us, it's revenue to the cities. So, yeah, I'm more than, hey, we've never stricken it off the table, believe me.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be a great area, that Rennie. It's gonna be, once that field is turfed, it's really gonna be great.
Well, it seems to me like we do, get 6 to 8 courts in at Rainey to take care of the immediate local need, maybe small scale tournament offerings. That doesn't mean that we can't continue to work with the school district on a large covered facility at the new site as it gets developed, because they have extra room there.
To give you an idea how much space this takes up, you go out to Jakewood, that court is 12 pickleball courts.
Right. No, I have some.
So it's not like,
sense for that.
it's gonna be bigger than that. Obviously, parking is much bigger. Okay, that's all I have to say, thank you.
Thank you. All right, anything else on that?
Yeah, I have one thing.
Yeah.
Just don't get discouraged. We appreciate you doing this.
Yeah.
I understand it's frustrating. Been there, done that, got it.
Well, did you see my article in the McMinnville Register?
I did not.
Front page center
When was that?
about the selection.
Oh, I didn't see that part.
I wrote what's his name, Kohler, the commissioner that resigned for the labor job.
Oh, cool.
Casey.
I wrote him a nice letter objecting to, I said, this has nothing to do with whether we're selected or not, nothing to do with that at all. But when people participate in these things, they expect to be a fair and open evaluation, it's clearly stated up front end, blah, 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 blah. Same things that, when I listened to the commissioners' meetings, they were sitting there violating right away. And he was going nuts with it, trying to go, look, could have done this in the front end, why didn't you do it then?
Right.
Why after the fact? Well, he took my letter and published it in the register, which is fine, I have no objection to that at all. I mean, it wasn't an offensive letter, it couldn't be traced back to Newburgh since I live in Marion County, and there was no relationship to the board or CPRD, and no references to it at all. Or the grant that we submitted, it just said this is the evaluation progress. Then I checked and said, well, with the grant administrator, I said, can we cause a federal audit on this? She said, don't waste your time, they can do anything you want.
And they'll do stuff they can't, well, never mind.
So, no, I'm not talking out.
No, but again, I
It's not my-
appreciate your passion to get this thing going, so keep it up, don't get discouraged, please.
I love lighting off Don about taking away his fair rights.
There you go.
Oh, now I got a committee to come after you.
Don and I.
Hey, that wasn't a publicly appointed committee, get up. You need at least 12 people in there.
We formed a committee in 1992.
It took 13 years to get
Matter of
12.
fact, Pat Casey was on the committee, and Sewell and several other local citizens in '92. And we opened the golf course in 2005.
Yeah, so you're just getting started.
You guys just totally went against what Jim just said.
No, I don't mind uphill battles. I didn't think this was gonna be capable of it. If it did, I probably would've gotten it all, so, anyway.
Thank you.
All right,
Thanks, Hunter.
thank you.
Hunter, add me your text list,
What?
your text list. Rather than, I mean, email me too, but I just wanted you to have my number for setting up the next.
Okay, sure. Okay. I'll even invite her too.
Please.
Good night.
See you, Hunter.
Good night.
Like,
Next on the agenda is the Trails Advisory Committee report.
Casey can kind of cover our last advisory meeting up at the Riley property, and then I can talk a little bit about the Knudsen property.
Yeah. We went on a tour up to the Riley property, and left here at, I think, 4. And we're up there for 2 hours, almost to the minute.
Is any of the art walk still left up there?
Yes,
It
there are
is.
pieces of, they didn't get to see that.
Okay.
2 hours is not a long time, because it takes, 20 minutes up there, 20 minutes down. And we basically walked the main trail, and they saw all the offshoots that Russ is doing. There was a lot of ideas kicking around, because there was a lot of people, and they were talking about grants and, getting volunteers and that type of thing. And it came down to, Quentin Comus is gonna write some grants and kind of engage and get a sign, a list of signs that need to go up there.
nice.
So I said, the district can probably afford to put signs up there, but we need to know what signs and how many and where they're going. So he's gonna work on that for us.
Awesome. He seems pretty organized. So.
He is, yeah. So all in all, it was a very, everyone had a great time. They were happy to see that there was development up there, because it is kind of hidden. And it wasn't, there's a couple wet spots, not too bad.
Yeah, it was in pretty good shape, though.
And they opened the horse trails this week, so the horses are back up there.
I think it's beautiful up there.
After a rainy April and May, so.
It's one of the few equestrian trails in the area.
Yeah.
It's used a lot.
And we probably should get the Riley committee back on board, because they've kind of disbanded the last little bit.
Yeah, if they're interested. Isn't that your committee?
I got a new committee now. Don't care about
You're
that.
dumping the other one? Wow.
No, actually, all of them, but, yeah, there was one young mother who's sort of overwhelmed because her kids are in school now. But other than that, all of the other committee members were quick to engage when we engaged them on that last thing. So I'm sure that a majority of the Riley committee would be more than happy to be involved.
Okay.
It's, if we, eventually we'll have to do a master plan or something for up there to get more approval from the county. But technically, it's a public park right now, so it's got signage in it, some, welcome to the Riley property and park rules and that kind of stuff, so. But we need to work on some trail signage. Simple fact that there are horses, there are people, there are bikes out there. And there is crossings. And,
The Sahalem Bridge signery and route markers are awesome, because they very clearly delineate out which is and
which.
people follow that. So what's horse, what's bike, what's pedestrian,
Shared.
which are shared.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll wander up and take some pictures.
They have is a lot of that paved up there?
No.
No?
No.
It's all
In
just
fact, it's gravel getting to it.
gravel.
Yeah. So and most of the trails are pretty well gravelled, with really fine 1/8" minus gravel, but not all. There's still some
Quarter miles.
muddy trails down in the canyon area.
Yeah. Okay.
But I can say that the folks that went up there were really excited to be able to have a place to walk in nature. It was pretty exciting to see the response to the property that was,
Managing the forest. And
yeah, that was
talking
entrusted
about
to the park district.
Invasive species.
Yeah.
mostly blackberries.
Pete must have been there.
No, he wasn't there, just this student, you know, Quentin was there.
Okay, right, Pete's
Yeah, he's
Mr.
good.
Invasive Species.
I think Quentin was listening.
Mhm. Oh, yeah.
Are we good? On the Knudsen Trail, it's gonna be a slow process, working with the landowner. They wanted, there's some, what do we say, vines that need to be removed for us to be able to put a trail there, and so on. So it's gonna take a while, but, yeah, they're working with us, so I don't have a lot to report. We went out, Alan Holstein and I went out, we surveyed, things that needed to be removed, things that need to be moved, areas people can go, areas people shouldn't go. So overall, it was good. So we're just, it'll take a while.
It's a stage thing.
Yeah.
You do the simple ones first, and then you do the harder ones at the end. Or figure out a better way.
And drink wine as we go. It's good. Fun.
Sure, like all of a sudden does its own little like. Alrighty, next up is the superintendent's report.
The only thing is tonight, if you could, I put in the board packet, the master plan, just the executive part. If you could approve that tonight with a motion, and please remember, a master plan that we put together is one that changes, so it's not in stone, it can change at any time. And but we're going to need to do that when we go to the county, because part of the county's requirement is that we have a master plan. So if.
By the board.
Yeah, if you guys could, someone could make a motion and you pass that tonight, it would help immensely.
I have a question. When you put that together for folks to see, are you going to change it, like the numbering system, so that it's typed and a cover and all that? Because I know that, to have a little more glossy to send to the county and the city.
Yeah,
You
the
know what I'm saying.
document itself is about that thick.
Okay.
So you have to put it in a notebook type deal to get it, all of it in there with all the appendixes and those type things. For instance, any new master plan we do, or anything that we change, like we have a master plan for the fringe part. Tonight, we talked about changing the boundaries, so that would have to be added when we change the boundaries to that. And so that's why I'm talking about changing all the time. But anyway, if we could get an approval tonight, it would help.
I will entertain a motion.
Did you folks read it? Did we read it? Look it over?
I read it, I haven't.
I haven't memorized it.
Yeah.
Because I know you had it's from what we had before, and it's
Yeah.
updated to what we have
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
It's just updated.
So it's not like it's a
The
brand new document that's never been
population's
here before.
updated.
Yeah.
All of that's been
The
updated.
master plan itself isn't very thick, it's all that appendix.
That's that whole section that was in the packet that
Yeah.
was talking about 2020 as compared to, okay.
Yep.
Yeah, I read it, I thought it was fun.
Okay, I'll make a motion to approve the master plan as submitted by superintendent.
Jim has made a motion, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Bart. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion
Why is the
passes.
pool still on here? Can we just check it off?
When we get more people, we'll need an outdoor pool.
The outdoor pool
Terry's still on.
hasn't been completed. So we didn't, we can change it to outdoor pool. rather than the pool, but,
Yeah, should ask the city, he gives us $1 million back when we put it in.
They'll just charge you more for
Sorry.
the
Thank
sea
you.
on the water. Alrighty, staff reports. Julie?
Okay. Let's see, I think, well, first of all, I wanted to acknowledge Don and Casey. They are really working hard. They've been out on tractors the last 2 days.
I've heard about Don on tractors in the past, I'm not sure that's
I
a
haven't
safe.
seen them.
Video or it
I'm sure
didn't
that's
happen.
safe.
Like that? Every time I've gone down to the golf course many times this week and just to talk to Kellen, and they are out on, they're on mowers, and that's amazing, and they're here. They get up at what, 4:45? Or you're out there at 4:45.
2.
You're nice and tan.
Oh, jeez.
I went to the pool this morning at 3 o'clock.
Oh my gosh.
Jeez.
Anyway, they are working extremely hard. I wanted to acknowledge that.
That's why I'm
and
retired, Casey.
let everyone know that. It's quite amazing.
Thank you, both of you.
it
Very
has
much
to
so.
be done. It's
Very
easy.
I think I did, when we passed Don yesterday, when we were playing number 9, I glanced over, there's this old guy mowing, and I looked real close, see who it was, stuff, and he saw, his normal golf comrades out play. I think there was a couple of cheers.
There was.
So that's really nice. Let's start with the aquatic center. So we had our first 200-person public swim, which is exciting. So we're seeing some good numbers coming back.
Before COVID.
Post-COVID. And the aquatic center is very, very busy. Swim lessons are starting to kick up now, and we've had some George Fox students, lifeguards leave, and some high school kids. They're coming back, and people seem to be excited about the wage increase. So thank you for doing that. We've had some success in our care program, hiring people, and at the golf course as well. I think Kellen had 3 today.
3 maybe. Yeah, 3 today.
Yeah, and the care program I think is at 6 in the last 8 days or something like that.
Wow.
So it's exciting, and they're very qualified people, which is great. So just wanted to mention that. Casey's crew, they've they've installed some cameras at the aquatic center, which is great. We had some kids that were sneaking in the back by the basketball court, and
Always.
Wendy's working really hard. Tara is still out, and so she's had some help. Yes, sir.
Yeah, real quick question. I've noticed in the last 3 packets that we've had,
Mhm.
something about the system that they use to check people in when they come in.
Mhm.
They can't see them. And then this last time they talked about you have a barcode on your Costco card, that works on the barcode deal.
Mhm.
So they've mentioned it several times in the last few packets. Well, I don't know what's going on there, but it sounds like they're concerned.
Since the pool opened, they've been mentioning it.
Okay, well, anyway, so there might be something that if people are getting it for free, I understand people will always try to do that,
Right.
but if it's becoming a problem and there's a lot more people doing that, I believe
Yeah.
people should all pay their
And-
fair share.
I agree, and the plan with that is that Richard is gonna install a third computer. Is that right, Casey?
So the monitor,
Yes, and the issue is just that he has been in Montana for a month or so, so when he gets back, it's gonna be a priority for him to get that done.
yeah, I've just seen it and I saw it 2 or
Yeah,
3 times, so I figured it.
Appreciate, yeah.
Okay, that's all I have.
I appreciate you mentioning that.
It records it, it just doesn't.
For the board's information, there's dishonest people out there. The question is, how much do you spend? And what is the return? Most honest people will usually report things, and we get enough with that. To say that we can control everything would be foolish, because we can't. Neither can the police, neither can the Army, neither can the Navy, no one can. But we just do the best that we can with what we have. And it'll be an ongoing problem, probably for quite some time. And
Okay, so I'm not a swimmer, I don't go to the pool. I don't wanna belabor this, but like, what door are they coming in and how much does a lock cost?
Well, we actually put some stickers that say this door is alarmed, and we're going to actually put some kind of alarms. And that should slow it down. It's a deterrent, it's not gonna really do
You
anything.
can't lock from the inside, they're letting their buddies in.
Yeah,
By
You're
fire
not
code, you
allowed.
can't lock. So,
yeah.
Once they figure that out, the, you know, 7th grade middle school boys, basically.
Yeah.
That's the group
Yeah, I
we're
never
working
would've done
with.
anything
I
at
work
that
with them a
age,
lot. Yeah.
Bless you.
It's a challenge for them to overcome
Yeah.
anything you do.
Yeah.
Many
It's a
years
rite of
ago,
passage.
when they did the radar, the state patrol, the truckers, it took them 10 years and all the installation, they spent millions of dollars. The truckers got together for 5 minutes and dragged a chain and just tore it all out. It took them 5 minutes to figure out a way around it. So, we're no better.
The pool right now is running in the black for the second month in a row. I wanted to acknowledge Wendy for that. That's amazing. Our revenue is higher than expenses, and we're on target to surpass our projected revenue for the fiscal year. So that is very, very exciting. We have been working, we started this before COVID, but we feel like a great moneymaker for the Aquatic Center, Fitness Center, is grad parties. So Wendy and I have been in touch with some high schools in this area and are putting together packages. And what that would entail would be grad parties meeting the entire graduating senior class. And for Newburgh, that would be 400 kids. And they would rent the Aquatic Center from 10 o'clock at night to 5:30, 5 o'clock in the morning, 5 o'clock, 5:30 in the morning. And we would supply the lifeguards. And the price for that, the going rate for that in this area is $20,000. Yes.
yeah, real quick, because I brought that up when we were doing the whole deal on revenue for that. We
Right.
talked to Terry about it, like Furstenberg and Vancouver.
Mhm.
I think their revenue for, and that was, I don't know, 5 years ago, 50,000
Mhm.
from grad nights. So it's a major moneymaker.
Yeah.
So you're on the right track.
Yeah, so Mountainside is a school that would be our, our,
Guinea pig?
yeah. So we're gonna, yeah, so we wanna make sure we do it well. But the great thing about that is we would have some supervisors there, of course, or some monitors, and just lifeguards. And they do everything else. And they would bring in some things, maybe to put, obviously they would have it catered, and Wings and Waves does it quite a bit, and they make $23,000 just for a short period of time. So it wouldn't really hamper us from offering, for being open to the public and to our members. So if we could have, we could have 4 of those, it'd be really, really nice. So we are concentrating on that, and we're getting our packets together. The other thing is, let's see, I wanted to mention, I think that's it about the Aquatic Center. We are working with Newburgh School District, and I think I mentioned this last time. They have received some funding from the state for enrichment programs, recreation enrichment programs. And they're basically for the summer and the fall, and they don't really offer anything in the summer, the school district, for kids. And so we are partnering with them. We have identified 90 of our programs that will be available for a discount. So what that would, so how do I explain it? So parents are going to receive an email from the school district and with a code, and they're going to be able to use that code to sign up for our programs, 90 of them that are online. And those Newburgh Dundee kids will be able to play or participate in that activity for free, up to $30,000. So the school district is
Nice.
going to write us a check for $30,000, which is really, really exciting. So we've been working with the district office on that, and that should be happening within a week. I think that email is going to go out to Newburgh and Dundee students. So that'll be really fun. I wanted to mention the markets. I was at the market last night, and I don't know if you guys have been, but it's really a neat place. We had 54 vendors last night.
It's amazing.
And Erin's doing a spectacular job out there. She has some help from 2 interns from the Downtown Association. We have that, I think I mentioned, we have a little beer garden. That's going very, very well. They're monitoring that very, very closely. But we had some nice weather yesterday, and there were quite a few people milling about, so that's exciting. We might outgrow that space. It's grown so much. The first week we had 70 vendors, which is incredible, because when we took it over, I think Mike had 12 to 14. We had music out there last night, and so we're excited about expanding that even more. Let's see, what else? So in the sports department, we have lacrosse is just finishing up. We have about 100 track kids that are participating. Youth softball, if you go out there, it's crazy town out there when the weather's good. And registration is open we have 9 summer sports camps specifically that are going to be ready for the Newburgh School District kids to participate in for free. So we're really looking forward to that. We also, I was mentioning earlier, our spring soccer program, which we did not have pre-COVID. We have 510 kids playing, $80,000, something like that, in revenue for us. So they're playing on, their games are Monday and Tuesday night, and they play out at Crater on the football field. Out in that area, we have 6 fields lined out there, and it's been great. And one of the benefits, I think, for that is that typically our games are played on Saturday mornings, and these are Monday and Tuesday night games, and the parents love it, because then that leaves their weekend free. So that's pretty great. The weather's not been great, but other than that, it's been a very successful spring season for soccer. Who knew? 510 kids, that's pretty amazing. Those are all local kids too. Adult City League basketball is over. They played at Mountain View. CPRD did not do great this year. Dawn, you might need to make a comeback. I don't know. We're not sure about that. We had the Camellia Run at the Cultural Center, and Lisa, you were talking about parking, and I'm amazed. We had 420 runners this year, and I just can't believe those are just people that are running. I mean, that's incredible that the city can accommodate that. Public Works just knocks it out of the park. And so we feel really, really lucky to be partnered with them, and I think that event will grow and grow and grow. I anticipate that to be to at least, 800 in the next couple of years. The Old Fashioned Festival will be July 31st, so we're getting ready to go live with that on our website. And then we've opened, next Wednesday, our adult softball league starts. So that'll be great. I wanted to mention in our care program, so we're just getting school year care and preschool, they're just getting ready to be finished for the school year. The school district, they have gone a different direction. First Student is not going to be transporting kids anymore. The school district is going with someone else. And so we are, our summer care program uses First Student for transportation, so we're trying to nail down some transportation for our summer program. But I wanted to mention that Matt Compton applied for grants for the care program, and we received $76,000 from the state.
That's great.
Tell Matt, thank you for
Right.
us.
4
That's
checks, and those are supposed to be used, 20% of that money, of that grant money, is supposed to be used for staffing, and then the rest some for financial scholarships, and then the rest of that is going to be used for upgrades, playground equipment, anything that will be beneficial to the kids. So we're looking at making some improvements to the preschool and to the, it's kind of hard because our care program is actually in the school, so we'll be buying more equipment for them, so we're really, really excited about that. Summer registration for care is open, and we're seeing some good participation there. The senior center is open. We've seen a lot of activities. Kick Up Again, Meals on Wheels is back, which is great. We have a new specialist that's working at the senior center, and she has a lot of energy, and she's really doing a good job of putting together some programming. Kayla's been out there highlighting, and I think you've really enjoyed
Oh, yeah,
getting
no,
to know
that's been fun.
the seniors
Yeah, that's been a
out
lot of
there.
fun.
That's neat. Recreation is open. We have this thing, I think I mentioned it last time, but it's called E-Leagues, which is different. George Fox has a very large E-League team, and those are teams that are comprised of gamers. And so, esports. And they're very popular, and I think that George Fox team is doing very, very well. And so we are offering we've partnered with George Fox, and we're offering those camps for our youth in our community. So we're hoping that discount, that they're gonna be able to play or to participate in that camp for free with the money that we get from the school district. So that's something new that we've added. And then I did talk to
This is what we need to do, is to encourage kids to play video games.
You know, there's an actual coach at George Fox, and when he sent me the email, I thought it was spam, because I'd never heard of that before, but in talking to him, and Matt and I met with
People bet on
him,
esports.
Yeah.
it's a huge thing.
It's
I
huge.
could not believe it. And you know what, they
Comes
spend
off
more
the
money
same.
on that sport at George Fox than almost any other sport. It's incredible, they get new computers, and you should see the room, it's incredible. Every 2 years, you know, all that equipment's outdated, it's just amazing. Anyway, and then finally for the golf course, I've talked to Kellen, Junior League starts this weekend, and that'll be great. He's really getting a lot of, we talked about birthday parties, so we've had some people in the community ask about hosting birthday parties out there in the tent. And he was asking me, gosh, how much do you charge, for that at the aquatic center? So that's something that is a little new, and we're working on putting together some packages for that. And he's also getting a lot of asks for weddings, so use of the facility for weddings.
That's in the yes.
So at the birthday party, would they probably have access to the putting course then?
Yeah,
Yeah.
That's fun.
Isn't that neat?
Yeah.
the driving range as well.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, that could be fun.
So that will be fun. I think that's about it.
So every time I think about, making a comeback and lending the CPRD team my, 3-point expertise, I remember the doctor looking at me and saying, you know why your foot hurts? You did partially tear your Achilles tendon, which took 11 full months to heal. So, although I do miss watching the other Dr. Bizot's head bang off the court when he's like trying to take offensive fouls. That was all.
Okay.
That was. And then the primal scream that came after.
There's some trash
You know
talk.
who pays the price for that?
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
Yeah, the team from Dayton won this year, so we moved it to Mountain View, and they like that. Features are better, and so, I think that's it.
Thank you, Julie.
Yeah.
Anybody have questions for Julie?
Just for the board's information, NRPA, National Park and Recreation Association, sets benchmarks. And benchmarks are where you are. Our agency is one of the highest in the country in recovery.
From COVID?
No,
Like
recovery.
money back from the we
money
spend out.
that we bring in,
Huh?
money, tax money, we're in the lower percentile. But total money, we're in the upper percentile. The reason is because of what we generate. And you don't generate it if people are not satisfied or want to participate.
I think you guys do a great job.
And like with the golf course and kids, when we open that, most people don't know. If you're a kid, you pay $5 to golf. That's cheap.
That's cheap.
And Newburgh went to the state this year with their golf team. You probably saw it. And I think they'll be continuing because the program is building. And the opportunity is in our community, which we had no opportunity years ago.
And Kellen is helping with that. He's coaching
Yep.
the men's team.
Yeah.
He's doing the women's team as well, but the men's team, he's really helped out a lot with them.
Yeah, there was a lot of kids there, when was it, yesterday?
Yeah.
A lot of kids, there was at least 2 groups of 30
Yeah,
Wow.
that I saw out there.
yeah, he's doing a good job.
Heidi?
Paying bills and bringing in all these people, all the ins and outs, so it's just really busy, but good busy.
Kayla?
Well, to tack on to what Julie had mentioned about the senior center, so there's a receptionist at the pool named Isaac, and him and I have been interviewing a bunch of the volunteers that have been at the senior center for like a long time, and kind of just getting their life story and what they've been doing there, and it's been a really fun project. And so we'll do like a little highlight on each volunteer, like maybe like 2 a month or something, and then they're up on our website too if you ever want to check it out and read about them. But it's amazing all the things they've done in their lives. One of the ladies that we were talking with, she was funny because she's had quite an eclectic life. She actually worked at a psych hospital way back in the day and was kind of telling us all the horrors of those. And then she worked security, and then she moved over here, and then she got up and left the meeting and said that she's going to keep the rest of her secrets. So we didn't get the rest of the story. But it's been great getting to meet all the volunteers down there. They're super wonderful and really nice. And then I'm also working with Sarah directly on another project with the Senior Center. We're doing, it's a project called With These Hands. So what we're doing is we're going around to, it's not just volunteers, it's people that kind of just show up and participate at the Senior Center, all their patrons. And we'll ask them, hey, what's a pivotal defining moment of your life? Kind of like with these hands, I did this. And so they kind of filled out a little sheet of paper giving us their story, whatever they wanted to tell us. Some of them were very straightforward to the point, some of them were a little more elaborate. But then I went around and grabbed more detailed photos of just their hands. And so the whole point of the project is to eventually pin them together, and then we're going to display the finalized visuals on the window so you can read them and look at them as you're walking by. And to tack on that, the elementary school is going to do the same project, but with the little kids, and it's going to be With These Hands, I Will. And so, yeah, it's pretty cute. So that's been a really fun project. We have all the testimonies, I have all the photos, it's just a matter of getting it together and finding a way to print it. Yeah.
Yeah, last night, there was a half-hour segment on the news on the Girls and Boys Club of Portland. And anyway, what was cool is they had a really professionally done nice video of, because you guys have just gone through 3,000 programs that we offer, it seems like tonight.
Yeah.
And if we could have one showing those kids' faces, showing those seniors playing, showing those things, and really highlighting, what you all do in this community, I think that'd be, if it was professionally done, I think that would be a good PR thing for us, and it would be good for people that just come into town to find out who we are. I'm just throwing it out, but they did a really good job for the Boys and Girls Club last night when I watched theirs, and it's just a comment that I thought I'd like to make.
No, for sure. I think
Something
that's a good idea.
Something to think about.
Yeah, because I think you guys are like underappreciated personally, because you do so much, and we're very fortunate to be in this community, so.
Well, there was one more thing. I don't know if you knew about this, but to go back to the Wednesday market, so Aaron and Polly from the downtown community, Newburgh, they had kind of met up with the high school class, their design class over there, and they had a project where the kids wanted to get a poster and design a poster for the market this year. And so it's kind of like a little competition with the class. Each kid came up with a poster design. Polly and Aaron sent them to me. I sent back, some feedback or whatever. So they continued with the editing process, and then they settled on the winner for one of the kids. And so We have a winner this year, so you'll probably be seeing a new poster around town, and that is designed by one of the high school kids. His name is
Cool.
Yahir Felix Juarez.
Nice.
So that'll be posted
Pretty
around,
cool
but
pass.
that was also a fun little project. You didn't see all the designs from the high school class, so yeah.
That's awesome. Thank you, Kayla.
And I think that's all I got from me.
Right. Anything, all right, next, I guess we have citizens' comments and evaluations. The one lady at the Aquatic Center, she just doesn't wanna stop about complaining about people. It's like, why do you keep going to the class? I mean,
It's an outlet.
Apparently.
Yeah, it's an outlet. I've seen
She's
that
still
over the
anonymous?
years.
Still anonymous, yeah. But she's now up to, what is it, 3 or 4 people she's saying need to go?
And just the way she, the thing, yeah, I don't know. It's
The whole
way-
fat people thing and all that stuff
I
in
was
there.
just gonna say
I
that.
think that's out of the line, yeah.
I was trying to
It
say
is.
that, the fat lady from Sherwood.
Yeah,
Like,
that's,
Not real good to,
yeah. Lisa had asked me about Tara, and
What's that? Yeah.
she's George's,
It's absurd.
you know, he's not well, and nothing has really changed for him. Have you seen him?
no. I've talked to Terry a couple times.
Yeah.
It's not good.
Yeah, yeah.
But he's a trooper. And he's not gonna let people know that this is where I'm at. You know where I'm at.
He's in McMinnville, so that's nice, and he's in a facility that seems to be doing well. So we're keeping her in our thoughts. Working hard for her, right?
I think they brought him home.
To the house?
I think a while ago.
Oh, really?
It could have changed.
Oh, yeah. I heard they, yeah, I don't know. I'll have to ask him.
I have to meet this lady with the psych ward story, because, you know, when I worked at Aspen, we represented the employees, the old Danish State Mental Hospital, and, you know, Oregon State, I got all sorts of state mental
If
hospitals.
you head on down to the senior center and ask for mercy, she's your person.
I'm not quite there yet.
That sounds like fun.
I remember the first meeting I went to at Danish, I got stuck in the basement, I was waiting for Nurse Ratchet to come around the corner to come after me.
So now I know you're the way you are. I know why that's happening.
They locked him in for a little while and then they let him out.
I escaped there, you know, I've been in every state prison in Oregon too, so.
We're gonna start spotlighting members at the Aquatic Center. There's this guy that works out every single day. I don't know if you've seen him. Super tall guy. He's 96.
Oh my gosh, that's
And
so awesome.
he's a lawyer, a retired lawyer. And he's settled in this area, and he lives at, what's the place across from George Fox, the track?
Oh,
Friendsview.
Friendsview.
Lives in Friendsview. And he works out every single day for 2 hours. He works out super hard. He does 100 sit-ups and push-ups every single day.
Wow.
He's in perfect shape, sharp as a tack. And it's so,
Wow.
I kind of, when he first did it, it threw me off a little bit, but he does his sit-ups and then he punches his stomach for at least 5 minutes. Like, hits it. And he's got an Olympic athlete, track athlete, hurdler. He's very, very tall. And I looked him up I Googled him, and very, very impressive. And works every single day at the same time, he and Glenn.
Wow.
They work out together. So he's somebody we should do a little expose.
That'd be fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm all here for it.
Yeah.
Don will put him to shame next year when he's 96.
You should play on the basketball team. Play him on the basketball team. Yeah, no kidding. He's amazing.
All right, well, is there anything else, folks?
I move we adjourn.
We got the
Close the public meeting.
foundation.
We have